Pictures are a great reminder of past events. You can capture precious moments and later be reminded by pictures. But what if you look back at photos and realise something lurking in the background that you didn't notice before? Here are 10 creepy photos that have been captured. At number 10, we have 2 friends and a ghost. This interesting photo was taken sometime around the year 2000 in Manila, Republic of Philippines. According to the Ghost Research Society, 2 girlfriends were out walking one warm night. One of them entreated a passing stranger to photograph them using her cell phone camera. The result shown here was a transparent figure seeming to tug on the girl's arm with a firm, if friendly, grip. Without further information on this photo, we have to admit that the ghost could have been added with imaging processing software, but if it is genuine and untouched, it certainly qualifies as one of the best ghost photos. Number 9. Sefton Church Ghost. Sefton Church is an ancient structure which started in the 12th century and finished in the early 16th century in Merseyside, England, just north of Liverpool. This particular photograph was taken inside of the church in September 1999. According to Brad's Real Ghosts, Restless Spirits and Haunted Places, where this photo was found, there was only one other photographer in the church besides the person who took this picture. Neither of them recalled seeing the ghost or any flesh and blood person standing there who could have accounted for this image. Because the figure is in all black, it has been theorized that the apparition could have been that of the church minister. At number 8, we have Granny Ghost. This photo was received from Denise Russell. The woman in the colour photo is my granny, she says. She lived on her own until age 94, when her mind started to weaken and had moved on to an assisting living home for her own safety. At the end of the first week, there was a picnic for the residents and their family. My mother and her sister attended. My mother took 2 pictures that day, and one is of them. It was taken on Sunday, the 17th of the 8th, 1997, and we think the man behind her is my grandpa, who passed away on Sunday, the 14th of the 8th, 84. We did not notice the man in the picture until Christmas Day 2000. Granny had passed since. While browsing through some of the loose family photos at my parents' house, my sister thought it was such a nice photo of Granny that she made copies for her mum, but still nobody noticed the man behind her for over 3 years. When I arrived at my parents' house that Christmas Day, my sister handed me the photo and said, "Who do you think this man is behind Granny looks like?" It took a few seconds to sink in. I was absolutely speechless. The black and white photo shows that it really looks like him. At number 7, we have Newbie Church Ghost. This photograph was taken in 1963 by Reverend K.F. Lord at Newbie Church in North Yorkshire, England. It's been a controversial photo because it was just too good. The shrouded face and the way it looked directly into the camera makes it look like it was posed. A clever double exposure. Yet, supposedly this photo has been scrutinized by photo experts who say the image is not the result of double exposure. The Reverend Lord has said of the photo that there was nothing visible to the naked eye when he took the snapshot of the altar. Yet, when the film was developed, standing there was a strange, clouded figure. The Newbie Church was built in 1870 and, as far as anyone knows, did not have history of ghosts, hauntings or other particular phenomena. Number 6. Railroad Ghost. A strange legend surrounds a railroad crossing just south of San Antonio, Texas, the intersection of roadway and railroad track. So the story goes, was this the site of a tragic accident in which several school-aged children were killed? This is because a ghost lingers at the spot and will push idle cars across the tracks even if the path is uphill. The story may have just been of an urban legend, but their accounts were intriguing enough that an article has been written about the phenomenon, the railroad crossing. The article includes a photograph submitted by Andy and Debbie Chesney. Their daughter and some of her friends had recently been to the crossing to test the legend, and she took some photographs. Inexplainably, a strange, transparent figure turned up in one of the photographs. They had no idea that it was in the picture until the next day when I printed out the picture and showed them, said the Chesneys. It was really freaky. It appeared to be a girl carrying a teddy bear. Other readers who view the photo think that it's a little girl with a dog sitting at her feet. At number 5, we have Ottomans Ghost. James Courtney and Michael Meehan, crew members of SS Watertown, were cleaning a cargo tank filled with oil as they sailed towards Panama Canal from New York City in December 1924. Through a freak accident, the 2 men were overcome by gas fumes and killed. During this period, it was a custom for sailors to be buried at sea.
But this was not the last remaining crew members were to see of the unfortunate souls. The next day, before dusk, the first mate reported seeing the faces of the two men in the waves off the port side of the ship. They remained in the water for 10 seconds and faded. For several days thereafter, the phantom-like faces of the sailors were clearly seen by other members of the crew in the water following the ship. On arrival in New Orleans, the ship's captain, Keith Tracy, reported strange events to his employees. The city service company, who suggested he tried to take photographs of the eerie faces. Captain Tracy purchased a camera for the continuing voyage. When he would see the faces appear in the water, he would take photos. He took 6 photos, then locked the camera and the film in the ship's safe. When the film was processed by the commercial developer in New York, 5 of the exposures showed nothing but sea foam, but the 6th one showed the ghostly faces of the doomed seamen. The negatives were checked for fakery by Burns detective agencies. After the ship's crew had changed, there were no more reports of the sightings. At number 4, we have Burning Ghost. On November 19, 1995, Wem Town Hall in Shropshire, England, burnt to the ground. Many spectators gathered to watch the old building, built in 1905, as it was consumed by flame. Tony O'Reilly, a local resident, was one of the onlookers and took photographs of the spectacle. One of the photos shows a small, partly transparent girl standing in the doorway. Neither O'Reilly nor the onlookers or firefighters recalled seeing the girl. O'Reilly submitted the photograph to the Association for Scientific Study of Anomalous Phenomena. It was presented for analysis to Dr. Vernon Harris, a photographic expert and former president of the Royal Photographic Society. Harrison carefully examined both the print and the original negative and concluded it was genuine. The negative is a straightforward piece of black and white work and shows no sign of having been tampered with. But who was the little girl? Wem, a quiet market town in northern Shropshire, had been ravaged by fire in the past. In 1977, historical records note that the fire destroyed many of the town's old timber houses. A young girl named Jane Churm, the legend says, accidentally set fire to the thatched roofs with a candle. Many believe the ghost haunting the area is Jane. At number 3, we have Backseat Ghost. Mrs. Mabel Chinnery was visiting the grave of her mother one day in 1959. She brought along her camera to take photographs of the gravesite. After snapping a few shots of her mother's gravestone, she took a photo of her husband who was waiting alone in the car. At least that's what Chinnery thought. When the film was developed, the couple were more than surprised to see a figure wearing glasses sitting in the back seat of the car. Mrs. Chinnery immediately recognized the image as her mother, the woman whose grave they had visited that day. A photographic expert who examined the print determined that the image of the woman was neither a reflection nor double exposure. I stake my reputation on the fact that the picture is genuine, he testified. At number 2, we have RAF Ghost. This intriguing photo was taken in 1919 and was first published in 1975 by Sir Victor Goddard, a retired RAF soldier. The photo is a group portrait of Goddard's squadron, which served in World War I at the HMS Toulouse training facility. An extra ghostly face appears in the photo. In the back of the airman positioned on the top row, 4th from the left, can clearly be seen a face of another man. It is said to be the face of Freddie Jackson, an air mechanic who had accidentally been killed by an aeroplane propeller 2 days earlier. His funeral had taken place on the day of the photograph. Members of the squadron can easily recognize the face of Jackson. It has been suggested that Jackson was unaware of his death and showed up for the group photo. At number 1, we have the Brown Lady. This portrait of the Brown Lady ghost is arguably the most famous and well-regarded ghost photograph ever taken. The ghost is thought to be that of Lady Dorothy Townsend, wife of Charles Townsend, 2nd Viscount of Raynham, resident of Raynham Hall in Norfolk, England in the early 1700s. It was rumoured that Dorothy, before her marriage to Charles, had been the mistress of Lord Wharton. Charles suspected Dorothy of infidelity, although, according to legal records, she died and was buried in 1726. It was suspected that the funeral was a sham and Charles had locked his wife away in a remote corner of the house until her death many years later. Dorothy's ghost is said to haunt the oak staircase and other areas of Raynham Hall. In the early 1800s, George V, while staying at Raynham, saw the figure of a woman in a brown dress standing beside his bed. She was seen again standing in the hall in 1835 by Colonel Loftus, who was visiting for Christmas. He then saw her again a week later and described her as wearing a brown satin dress, her skin glowing with pale luminance. Upon developing report, the image of the Brown Lady ghost was seen for the first time. Which one did you think was the most creepiest? Let us know in the comments down below. and don't forget to subscribe and like this video.